G'day and welcome back to Build Some, and this is the second video in a series of 4 on establishing the length of a hip. And in this video I want to show you the method called measured in situ, or measured in place. So again, you can see I've got my roof started, I've got my ridges in, my common rafters and my crown ends are in. I'm ready for my hips, so I'm going to grab my hip material, and for this method all I want to do at the moment is mark out the plumb cut and the edge bevels right on the end of my piece of timber, if I can put it there. So I've actually got the point of my two edge bevels sitting flush with the end of my timber. Okay, the reason I've done that is so that when I go to measure the length of my hip, it's easy just to hook the tape over that point. You don't have to have that that mark line up with the end of the timber, but just remember when we go to measure the length, it's going to measure from the end of those two edge bevels. Okay, so this is just the easiest way of doing it. So I'm going to go up to my roof, I'm going to grab my tape measure, and I'm going to measure a length from the intersection of my common rafter and my crown end rafter. And I'm going to measure that down to the outside of my plate where the hip will intersect. So in this case I've cut the plate, the corner off, so I'm going to measure to there. Okay, 3 meters 809. Now that's the back of the bird's mouth. So I'll go down to my piece of timber. I'll get rid of that line, it's not needed. And I need to measure from the point, which, as we discussed earlier, is the end of this piece of timber, down 3 meters 809. Okay, down this way. So, and what I need to do down here is I need to mark a radius. Okay, so I'm going to mark a radius of where that where that measurement comes. So 3 meters 809 mil, it'll fall along that point somewhere. Okay, so I've marked that on there with my pencil. Okay, then what I need to do, I then need to go up to my roof and find out what my stand-up is. Again, the stand-up is the plumb distance from the top of the bird's mouth to your rafter, okay, or where the XY line would meet. And again, 69.3 mil, as I said before, 69 mil is going to be accurate enough. So I come back down to where I marked that radius in, and remembering again we're going to measure down the plumb cut. We need to find a point where that line that we mark, the plumb cut and 69 millimeters meets. Okay, and where that intersects, that is the back corner of our bird's mouth. Once we know that, we can then come square off that line to get our bird's mouth marked in and cut that out. And again, as previously discussed, we can then reduce the width of our hip so it doesn't interfere with our eave, cut the tail off to suit our overhang, and we can put the hip into place. Once it's in place there, we can test it in the other positions to make sure it fits there. Again, if it does fit, well and good, we can just copy the first one. If it doesn't, we can make adjustments, or we could just restart the whole process and measure each hip in individually. So there you go, that's the measured in situ method of establishing your hip length.